We are live. Welcome to this week's Give Voice to Your Vision, where we stop the spinning wheel and we get real, so it's clarity you feel. Who wants more clarity? I know that everyone wants more clarity. Clarity is the magic elixir that helps us fuel our creative vision, and that is what our businesses are. In my world, I am so excited to share my dear friend, colleague, past client, Linda Illsley, with you. Am I saying, do I need to say, I need all three of your names? Linda Illsley Granich, Linda Granich Illsley. Which one is it?
It's Illsley Granich because I'm born and raised in Mexico. I'm not,
Beautiful. Linda Illsley Granich. She is a health and wellbeing facilitator, PSYCH-K master, and she is here to talk about help us talk about getting clear, staying clear, decision makings in your business. How do you create positive momentum? If anybody else here ever gets stuck in a loop like they do on Westworld and be like, I'm doing the same thing. And I know a lot of you here have done the healing work and have done the personal development processes and growth, and maybe some of you like me have done years of therapy. I did that back in the 90s for sure. All good stuff, right? But we're talking about accessing a whole nother level of healing well-being today. Linda, I'm so excited to have you here with us. Will you, we were just talking before, share just a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey? I know you've been a lifelong entrepreneur, and help us to see so that folks can really get a sense of how well you understand and deeply know and have a really powerful comprehension of the challenges that face those of us who are called to create our own businesses.
It's funny that you put it that way. Thank you, Michelle, first and foremost, for having me with your audience. And I started being an entrepreneur since I have memory. So 7 years old, I was selling popcorn outside my parents' doorstep in Mexico. I could count, and my brother would take me with a truck full of produce to the market, and literally I would sell the produce. So it's been part of my life. I had my first coffee shop at 16, and then fast forward a restaurant for 14 years in Durango, Colorado. And talk about learning how we self-sabotage ourselves, because that restaurant had the potential. I got offered several times to franchise, to move into a better location, and I always said no. And now that I have the understanding, thanks to PSYCH-K, it's like, oh my God, all those limitations, my relationship with money. Well, that's a big one. Inherited relationship with money.
Pause, rewind. Your relationship with money. Let's say it again. Our relationship with money. What?
Giving things away for free, because that was meeting a need I had from childhood, for instance.
Right.
That's another one where or being afraid of charging what we're worth. I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but up until recently, that was one of mine. Even the word millionaire felt like a dirty word in my mouth up until I discovered why. All these sort of things that they're hidden. We're not aware that they're within us, and they stop us from really living a fuller life and reaching the potentials of our capacity. That success that we all deserve to have.
I love this so much. And I have done, I've worked with you. Thank you. I have done a lot of different healing modalities. And I am 100% clear that there's only so much talking about our troubles, problems, patterns, habits, and beliefs that we can do. Something else has to be shifted and changed on another level. And I've done some of that work with you and with others in this healing realm. So I'd like to dive in. I want to hear, I know you know a lot about brain science. Raise your hand if you're here watching the replay, that if you want to geek out with us, or if you're here live or watching the replay, geek out with us on some brain science, because it's everywhere. There are people showering a brilliant, expansive message about what's possible with our brain. I have a couple of clients who work at a very high level with brain. So I know you have a particular bucket of wisdom in that realm. So what we've already touched on that I want to highlight here is these hidden limitations. So we've all heard this limiting beliefs, but what really catches me still today, I was working on it with my mentor this morning. What? Yes. Is those hidden beliefs, the limitations that we can't see. And I come from, I don't know if you know this, but a 12-step background. Like I had a very low bottom with drugs and alcohol from when I was 12 to 23. It was rigorous. And there's this whole idea of denial, right? And so there's been a cautionary programming in me about like, I don't want to be in denial. Am I in denial? And that can be hard to know. They say denial ain't a river in Egypt. But I have realized even recently that I have this hidden limitation about being afraid of being in denial, which fed right into my old don't be too big for your britches, other stuff that I have healed. So will you share your experience or your insights on this idea of the fact that we have some stuff going on that's hidden from us and that's normal, right? That's okay. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And maybe you can leak in some of the juicy brain science I know you and I love to geek out on.
Well, I think the place where to start is not only is it normal, it's simply being a human being.
Hello, human.
It just makes us human. So what is it that happens is we are born with a whole bunch of brain cells. However, what we don't have when we're born is the connections between those brain cells. That starts to get formed more actively. I mean, some of them are formed in utero, but it starts to get formed more actively from the minute we come out into the physical world. And
which totally makes sense because we're absorbing data, right?
That is it. You've hit it on the head. So your eyes are absorbing 100 million bits of information per second.
It's crazy. Little babies.
That's just your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are, splat. We're human.
Yeah.
And we're being programmed,
and we're absorbing
sensory stimulation. Fascinating.
Absolutely. Nonstop at an incredible rate of speed. So the crucial thing to keep in mind here is when we're born, our rational mind, the prefrontal cortex, hasn't developed. It's there. It's working. It used to be believed up until recently that it wasn't working, but not true. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes. However, that part, the logical mind that does the planning and learns from the past and projects into the future, the side that says Facebook Lives every day and I'm going to have a more successful business, that's the logical mind. The one that comes and trips you up and keeps you from doing it, that's all of this information that got stored in your subconscious, which up until age 7, you don't have a choice. It just comes in. Well, you don't have a choice later on. But 7 is a crucial point in the development of the brain, because up until then, you take everything to be true. And up until age 3 or 4, everything is about you. So anything that happens, and this can be fairly extreme. I had an experience when I was 1.5 that I blamed myself for. I was 1.5. I wasn't even verbal. And it's kind of a big story and it doesn't come to the point. So I'm not going to open that door. Someday I can. Another one is a friend of mine whose sister died in a car accident when she was about 3.5. And she realized she had been blaming herself for her sister's death. So I'm choosing
on this pre-verbal cellular level, when your logical brain knows that's not your fault, it wouldn't make any sense, but there's this stuff, this imprint that gets stored.
Right. Yeah. And it gets stored because we're not rationally fully aware yet. And you're really moving or existing from a place of instinct because it's all about you surviving. It's all about you because you need to survive.
Right. Yeah. So
so the problem is that you're observing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. So I said the thing is that you absorb with no choice the good, the bad and the ugly, and it's all true. And it is
from your perspective, it becomes like a hardwired truth. Yeah.
And then that becomes 95% of what is informing our actions, our habits as adults on a daily basis. That's why I'm saying, and there isn't a single human being. There's a few out there that are awake, that have figured this out. But they're few and far. There are more and more people becoming aware of this.
Yeah, the awakening is upon us.
Awakening, thank goodness.
The awakening is accelerating. Yeah, it is about time. I'm so glad I'm here for it, right? And growing a business to help uplift others like you. Yeah, so it's an exciting time to be a coach and a healer and a leading edge transformer. Transformers. More than meets the eye. All right. So I want to talk to you about how we can uncover some of these hidden beliefs and what that would do for us. So let's talk first about how is the work that you do different from coaching, therapy, or even working on your mindset. I hate working on my mindset because it's dumb. Because if I could think my way out of the problem or just change the way I was thinking that easily, it's not so easy, right? It's like what we think about goes bigger. So if I think about what's broken, then I keep making what's broken feel bigger and blah, it's a way to chase my tail. So I want to hear how the work you do is different from coaching, therapy, or working on your mindset.
Well, traditional talk therapy is wonderful. I've done it myself.
Me too.
And the thing about it is that you're talking to the rational mind.
Right.
The logical mind.
And I think there's power in, because I do voice, sensation, vibration.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the words, I think there is power. I don't want anyone to think, I know you don't know, but I know you know, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm in any way saying that's not a good modality. Sometimes I'm a verbal processor, if you couldn't figure that out. And I talking things out is very powerful and healing, but it's not always able to shift, right? To create that deep shift. After a point, for me, it wasn't. I'm still a verbal processor. I still like to talk it out.
Well, and I'm a verbal processor too. I think that's why we became friends over all this time. So here's the difference. You talked about I can talk about things and resolve them. You know, I can work my way through them, because then you're engaging the rational mind. And yes, there can be shift. However, what we're talking about is hidden beliefs that in some cases, the belief is now we've inherited through up to 7 to 15 generations back. And we carry this information literally in our DNA. Yeah. So it's stuff that we're not even aware of that has simply been transferred unconsciously from one generation to the next. It's nobody's fault. Again, it's just being a human. It's how we're wired. Right.
One of my first business mentors used to talk about how like it was your parents' fault and then it was their parents' fault. He's joking, right? He's like, we can go back to there, and then we can go back to generations, and then we can go back to the Middle Ages, and then we can go back to the dawn of time and blame it's the caveman's fault. Right? So we're living that caveman cellular wiring. Is what you're saying.
There is some of that. And you know, you could take it further and blame spirit if that's your gem, fair enough. The thing is, when we blame others, exactly, which is where I was going to go. You have a choice. You can be a victim, or you can decide that you're going to take responsibility. And the beauty about the modality PSYCH-K, and there are other modalities that do similar work. This just happens to be the one that changed my life, that allow you to actually literally create a conversation with your subconscious. And it is, I've traveled the world, Michelle, as you know. I've been in China, I lived in Europe, I've done all these things. Nothing compares to the adventure of understanding that and then going in a journey of exploration and self-knowledge that is that intimate.
Because so what possible... Go ahead. We have a delay. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's the most beautiful level of intimacy that I have ever encountered.
And so That's incredible. And I love that. And what's that going to do for my business is what I want to talk about now. I want to shift into like, so when we can, so when I can have that intimacy and I can start to have, how long does it take? How much work is it? Is it going to be hard? And am I going to have a lot of feely feels and, or can we smooth that process over and tell me a little bit more about working with you?
Well, the beauty about it is that it's super fast. You create a new neurological connection in 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
To create a new neurological connection. Now, the thing is, the beauty about PSYCH-K is you don't talk about it. In fact, the less you talk about it, the better, because as you already pointed out, when you talk about it, you're reaffirming, especially we tend to talk about the negative. Mm-hmm. So brain cells that fire together, stay together. And what that is doing is speeding up the process of that information, negative information that you don't want to become stronger, because you are strengthening the habit of being in that space. So mindset.
I have another question. You go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say mindset is fantastic. The problem is, again, it doesn't take into account that the subconscious is driving the car.
Right.
And it's very difficult to change a habit, not only because it's hardwired, but because the subconscious resists change. So you're working against the bigger, your rational mind is a tiny part of the brain. The bigger part of the brain is the subconscious. It has a processing capacity, 1 million, it's 40 to 1 million, roughly. 40 bits of processing information is your rational mind. Your subconscious is 1 million. When your subconscious gets triggered, it's called amygdalian sequester. Literally, this is your rational mind. It sequesters it.
I raised my kids with that.
Kids
know about the amygdala and covering it up. I raised my kids with that.
So there's just nothing you can do until the subconscious is ready to let go for you to become rational again. So
except this work or work like
with work. Yes.
Yeah.
So what it is that we do in a session is basically create that conversation with your subconscious and ask it for permission to change the program that is running the habits that you're ready to let go of, those that keep you from being live every day or charging what you're worth.
Or deciding to grow a business instead of your business supporting your teaching habit, or deciding that you want to be a diva superstar on stage, or any of those things. I need to go back to one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to go back to this idea of, you talked about how we have the negative beliefs, right? But I want to talk about trying to be positive, right? Trying to use words to stay positive and calibrate our way into those good feelings when we're fighting against the hidden patterns and habits and contracts that are running the show.
So positive became very popular, and it almost became toxic positivity.
I agree.
And that's just my belief, where it's like, oh, if you're not positive, there's something wrong with you. Well, that's denying your humanity.
Right. Well, and if you're shoving everything down to be like, nope, I'm just going to be positive. I'm going to pretend that's not here.
Yes.
It becomes this like closet door that's like everything's pouring out of the closet, because you can't, it's not a solution. It's that back to that denial thing that I was talking about.
It's denial, and it's emotions that are trapped.
Yeah.
That then become toxic, because they're going to find their way out.
That's right.
There's only so much shoving down. And if it isn't with an expression of the emotion, like somebody that just suddenly blows up, and you're like, oh, where'd it come from? 9 times out of 10 is because they've been holding it back, because we're not
holding it back.
Mark Brackett from Yale says we're not allowed to feel. We are not given permission to feel. And that's part of the problem, is that we grow up with this idea of good and bad emotions, and we end up repressing those emotions that are considered negative, or those emotions that we feel are going to lead us to being judged or not accepted by adults around us. So it happens
Yeah,
automatically as well.
Yeah, those are contracts again that we make, right? The little
Yes,
things
ma'am.
that we hardwire for sure, like don't cry, be a big girl. And then the way that impacts so many of the people that I work with, like yourself, right? Like we are holding back because it simply does not feel safe. And I heard so many people say, people that are freaking awesome, that have thriving businesses, that are expanding and growing despite these things, say, it feels like I will be killed. I used to not say that out loud because it sounds so extreme, but that's a feeling. And if we just try and like do it anyway, that feeling is impacting everything that happens, and it builds up, and ultimately we have to stop because we can't sustain the pressure, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
So you've touched, oops.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, you've touched on something that is very telling. Your subconscious is there to keep you alive. And anything that was perceived, because it isn't real when you're little, that could threaten your survival, can potentially create that association that it feels like, I'm going to die if I do this. You know, and I mean, you remember, I used to cry nonstop when I was in your course, because I had this whole thing around being seen.
Being seen. So many people do. So many people do. Yeah, we have blocks and fears around being seen and heard, and they continue to ripple and trickle. So this is and like you said, drive the bus kind of under the scene. So having a way to rewire that programming is very, very powerful. I wanted to be sure. I think that you are going to make available to my community the opportunity to work with you. And I want to make sure that we have a chance for you to invite people to that. And then I'll see if we have any final thoughts before we wrap our call today. If you're here, I know we had a couple people on live. If you come back and watch the replay, we want to know that you were here. It helps us add value. It helps more people get value from being here.
Grabbing that.
Hang on one second, Linda. We have a delay. You go ahead and grab. And we'll let our internet catch up. So that if you're here watching the replay, share your takeaways. If you have questions, especially if you're watching from inside my Power Up Your Presence Facebook community, you can ask those questions. Linda is in there. You can tag her. We'll make sure that we get those questions answered for you. And Linda, and so if you want to, Linda, I'll take care of posting that link that you just shared. Tell us a little bit about what you're inviting us to. Thank you for sharing and being generous with the community. And I'll get that posted. Again, if you're watching on YouTube or on the business page, come join the Power Up Your Presence community on Facebook, and you'll be able to access this link. It's my gift to you. It's free. We do lots of trainings on all the things you need to claim your voice, clarify your message, and call in clients by stepping into your unique frequency factor. And this work is a really powerful tool in your toolkit toward doing that. So Linda, tell us what we're going to, what you're sharing with us, please.
Well, first of all, gratitude towards you and everything you have done for me. Being a woman, an entrepreneur that's exploring the world online at age 50, 55, I started like that. I didn't even know. I didn't even have a profile. I'm actually really happy to be my age. You know?
I'm happy to be 50. I'm almost 55. It's just I'm celebrating 55.
Such a joy to be able to support other women that are. Oh, there's that delay.
You're okay.
Sorry, the delay was breaking it up. So I'm sorry if I spoke over you. It's the power of your voice. Your words have power. They have vibration. They have an impact. And habits that kept me in a state of fear from being visible. It's the thanks to the modality I work with, the PSYCH-K, the potential that exists on each of us. And I'm particularly partial towards women right now because this is our time. We're getting called again and again to step up into our true power, not power over, but power within, that radiates and can make such a massive difference in the world. You know, as I don't have children, but those of you that do, as the creators of life, I think that there's a lot more to be said, and we're needed. And right now we do need to have that support and those tools on areas. There's things that I can't do for myself. I reach out to my colleagues and have them help me because the beliefs are hidden from me.
Yeah.
And it's a time for us to collaborate and come together and support one another to be that powerful force for change that is so needed right now in order to create a more balanced world. So what I'm offering, Michelle, is a 30-minute one-on-one session where I will support you personally, individually, in finding and identifying the beliefs that may be stopping you from reaching the level of success that you deserve to have. And I will also share with you the language of the subconscious, which is very specific. So the beauty about the work that I'm sorry, say that again.
Tell me more about the language of the subconscious that is very specific. If you're here watching, let us know that you're here. Say hi and share your takeaways in the comments. The language of the subconscious is specific.
The subconscious doesn't know about past or future. It only knows about the now. And that is it has to, because it drives your physical body, all of your bodily functions. That's why the subconscious is so much bigger than the rational mind, are driven by your subconscious. But it has to exist in the now, because think about it. If you had to be telling your heart to beat, we'd be amoebas, because that's the only thing we would have energy for. That's why it forms habits, and that's why the habits are so hard to change. I hope that makes sense. So your subconscious it's quirky. If you say no, it understands things in a different way. If you talk about the things that you don't want, it reaffirms that. So it requires some understanding of the functioning of the subconscious, so you can actually start shifting what you don't want to have within you, and you can set yourself free. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I was typing your words, some of your words, as I make this post. So for those of you joining us from inside the Power Up Your Presence group, I just posted the link. Oh, I need to edit that so the link is higher up, but I will. So that Linda's giving you an opportunity to work with her to uncover some of the hidden beliefs that could be slowing you down from creating the life and business that you want, from really stepping forward into the truth of who you are, is what we talk about in my world, right? To claim your voice, clarify your message, and call in clients by being more fully self-expressed to press out. Linda can help you get clear on some of the layers that may be slowing you down. Thank you for your generous gift to the community. I posted that link in the Power Up Your Presence community. If you are watching somewhere else, I can come back and share that link there on those platforms as soon as we are later today. And we want you to comment or ask any questions that you may have. I know you can also find Linda on Facebook as well, and she is a member of that community, so that she'll see your post if you tag her, if you have questions, thoughts, or you want to find out more. And there's a link there to schedule a gift session that will help you to uncover hidden habits, thoughts, patterns, contracts, hidden beliefs. A belief is, so I was just, I got to go see Abraham Hicks recently, and live in person.
Yes.
And, you know, and I have listened to them a lot over the years, and they talk about a belief is a thought you continue to think, right? And an experience, you know, it's like these experiences that get hardwired into our program, and to see that we have things that we don't even really know that are hidden from us, and a way to access them and bring them into the light of day so that we can clear them is a huge gift. Thank you for being generous. And that's as you were saying before the call, the first step in the transformation to rewrite your programming is to discover what programming is stuck in your grid that you don't even know about, and the tools that you're using. PSYCH-K is a way to do that. And I just want to remind you, if you're coming in and watching now, let us know that you're here. Likes, hearts, and loves make us let us help more people, and are always very nice for us to see and hear. Here, can we hear hearts and loves? No. See, read, receive. I'll say receive.
I was going to say, feel.
You can call me up. I do like to talk to people for real. So let's make that happen. Linda is offering an opportunity for you to have her support this particular kind of lens with this brain science and this access to your own subconscious to discover these patterns, habits, beliefs, things that are stuck in your grid that could be slowing you down, probably are slowing you down. And it's the first step towards rewriting your programming so that you can, what we do in my world is soar into and through, up and above and beyond the things that are slowing you down to create the business, the impact, the life, the full, free self-expression of who you are. And I'm just going to keep going back. You said, we can do some of this rewiring these new cell connections in 2 seconds. So this is a powerful tool that can begin to do some deep work quickly. And Linda's offering you, is opening her door for you to join her for that first step of uncovering some of the things that could be slowing you down. Thank you.
And just very quickly, a couple of things that jump to mind. So you rewire a new, you can create a new software, a new connection in 2 seconds. What we do with the modality, and I know this is your world, Michelle, intention is everything. So we create agreements before, if you choose that this is something you want to explore further after the 30 minutes. It's completely up to each individual. It's we set the intention that everything that can be changed in one change process, we call them balances because you're balancing left and right hemisphere does. So we're not going after every little single thing that you experience that isn't right. We're saying everything.
Everything that's available to rewire. Whoop.
Let's do it as long as it's safe for you to do it.
Yeah.
And the safety is really important. That's another part of the language of the subconscious. The subconscious is to keep you safe. So anything that is a threat, this is going to happen. It's going to shut down and it ain't going to go nowhere. Right. So it's all about keeping it safe for you. And the other thing about the session is, because if you're asking yourself, am I going to invite you to work with me? Yes, of course I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a good, proper student of Michelle. However,
well, we aren't going to leave you hanging. That's totally up to you.
We're not going to leave you. That is totally up to you. And it's just becoming aware of what are your hidden beliefs is the beginning of it becoming conscious. So you are going to get a lot of value out of just spending the time. And if you're asking yourself, why am I not doing it live? Here's the answer. Because every single subconscious is a universe in and to itself. And it would be potentially damaging for me to try to do a one size fits all.
And that's, you're singing my song. You're singing my song right now because I told you earlier, we did a 6-figure revenue blueprint, and I have talked to hundreds of amazing people who are confused, frustrated, nearing burnout because they need that customized plan. They need to find their own voice in their business and step forward so that they can leverage everything that they've invested and studied and tried. There is no one size fits all. And your journey is unique. Your message is unique. Your voice is as unique as your DNA. And so this is an opportunity for you to get some true, powerful insight into what could be slowing you down. And then if you chose to delve further into the process, that opportunity is available with no strings attached. Just come and check out. It is, I have often taught that the 3 steps of transformation are awareness, acceptance, and then action. I always say inspired action because I'm a recovering doer. So, I'm all about hustle and push and strive. I'm not all about it. I'm going to rewrite those words. I have done that many, many times over. And I admire and appreciate my determination and my persistence. However, hustle, make it happen when I'm not lined up with it is painful. It's a painful way to grow because the frustration can happen and I don't know what's stopping me and it doesn't make sense. And then what we do is we start to make it about us. I'm not doing it right. I didn't get it right. I didn't crack the code. I'm not good enough. So thank you for sharing this powerful tool and opportunity with the people here. If you're asking yourself, ooh, that sounds interesting, maybe I'll do that. I'm going to invite you to go ahead and book a time because the scroll happens. And if this is speaking to your heart when you're watching it, when you're watching anything, take action and follow your gut, trust yourself. Even if you've made mistakes or things haven't worked out before, self-trust is one of the core components of all that I teach. It's required. And it's much easier to do in a community of others really stepping into that radical self-trust as a practice. And Linda's offering you a tool to get some clarity that's going to help you trust yourself some more. All right. And that can be a huge accelerant for your business.
And you've touched on something that's really key to all of this, Michelle, and I know we resonate on that as well, is that we're not just this physical being, we're energy beings. We're constantly interacting with, call it spirit, universe, God, goddess, super conscious.
The quantum fields.
The quantum field. It's
we're broadcasting and we're receiving. We're broadcasting and we're receiving. We're broadcasting and we're receiving.
And a good way of putting it, this is Dr. Bruce Lipton, who, by the way, found the mechanics on our physical body of why this is true. It's proven, not just making it up. It's not woo-woo wishful thinking. Science is actually backing this up now. And that it's if you imagine that you see yourself, I don't know, what kind of music do you love the best, Michelle?
My own.
I should have known you singing. Okay. So if you're like Michelle and what you dream of is to hear your own music being
to share
it, and for your passion to speak with that voice, to support you with ease and give you the comfort that truly we all deserve, because abundance is the reality and scarcity is what we create through our hidden beliefs. And you're not aware that the messages that are inside your subconscious are broadcasting country music from somebody you really don't want to hear, then you will never get to that point. It's just, it's a physical impossibility. Or you can will your way into it, which I have done.
Me too.
14 years of a restaurant, it's like I willed myself into having a successful restaurant at a very high expense, physically, emotionally, mentally to myself.
And life it's limited.
And life doesn't need to be that way. It just, it can be easier. It can flow. And flow, by the way, is a real thing that is also now proven to exist.
Scientific flow.
A mental state. Yes. So it's possible to have it all, in the sense of we can identify, become aware of those hidden beliefs, ask for transforming the program that's running our lives, and then move with greater ease and joy, which then, by the way, keeps you and your energy more vibrant, your frequency higher. And other people, believe it or not, can feel that. So just recently they were talking about anxiety. Yes.
Yeah, this is so true. So I want to close on that note, because that's a brilliant bring it home. So I often quote Emerson, who says, "Who you are speak so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying." And so many times we figure out, how do I share my message? How do I make offers? How do I show up and grow my business and step into that next level leadership that I want to have, right? And who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. So you are broadcasting. You are broadcasting and you are receiving. And the people will feel you when you show up and you inhabit the truth of who you are, and they feel you. They've been feeling me when I'm a little off, right? I'm not quite lined up with that full thing. And I see the results in my business when I start to get distracted or divert. And it's always been coming back into alignment with the highest calling, the thing I'm here to share. And that's a rigorous practice. It takes, having support is very, very much the better way to go. But when you're tuned in, right, you are sending a signal even when you're not saying anything. Absolutely. And so this work is very, very powerful. And that's when you start getting clients in line at the grocery store, or people doing double takes across the room and being like, who are you again? What did you do? Right? Because you're broadcasting. We don't have to. And it's super important. I love that we are ending on this, or that you just touched on this before we go. I'm going to take 2 more minutes, because we are in a world where we need to be visible and we need to be posting and sharing and posting and sharing. And you'll see when you line up with other people's message, when it feels congruent, and myself included. I've seen times where I get like, I think I'm interested in this, and it gets a little bit incongruent and my results slow down. But when people will feel you, as Maya Angelou said, people will remember how you make them feel more, not that you can make them feel, but how they feel around you, right? Then they will what you say. Super important, super important. So
and that is
thank you.
Since childhood. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that is what?
Absolutely.
What did you say?
Childhood.
True since childhood. It's so interesting because, because I was often told that I was a golden child. I wasn't sure what that meant, but it meant there was a lot of pressure in it for me. I was like, yeah, I'm a golden child. I'm going to be smart. I'm not going to have any needs. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be good at everything. And I kind of was for a little while, but that subconscious current of feeling like, wait a minute, I was a mistake. I wasn't, like I can't have any needs, or, all that stuff was there too. So I've lived that push-pull. Really powerful work you're doing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for helping me set myself free so that I'm comfortable doing this. Before I would have been like,
that's my pleasure. But I'm thinking about, we haven't run Fearless Facebook Live formula for a while. So I'm thinking about maybe
that was
bringing
my
that out
beginning of the journey with you.
It was. And there's, that lining up with the truth of who you are. And you said something about needing to feel safe. And that's one of the things that I know is unique to the way I work, to finding your frequency factor. It's not about shoving you out the door to walk 5 miles to school in the snow. It's about creating an environment of safety and a little bit of daring so that you can expand. And combined with the work that you're doing, it's just a super powerful approach.
So I study with a psychologist in Belgium, a fabulous man. I'm learning a lot more about the brain. And he was just saying that nowadays they understand that our brain is constantly changing. And in fact, this is vital for us as humans to function. And that it's a combination of, it needs to be safe, but it needs to be a challenge for new neurological connections to form. If you stay always in the same, the brain won't grow.
Right. They say the same thing about exercise. Muscle confusion. It's so good. I love you. Thank you for this lovely, long, juicy conversation. If you have an opportunity to take Linda up on her offer, I know her calendar is busy. There's probably a limited number of spots available. So say yes to yourself if you're curious about what hidden limitations you may have running the show. And to be even more fabulous and accelerate even more with ease, grace, flow, and the satisfaction that comes from feeling allowed to be who you are, fully alive, fully self-expressed. Nothing beats it. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you very much. I cleared space for next week, but after next week, things are going to start getting busier.
Perfect.
So if you are interested,
I will update the link so that folks know they need to grab one of these spots in the next few days, because you have opened up spots next week, and that's the chance. All right, my dear.
After that, no promise. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you. I will talk to you soon. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on Give Voice to Your Vision.